In the heart of rural India, as the morning sun spills across fields of green, a strange shimmer breaks through the mist. It's not water, not metal, it's alive. Thousands of iridescent feathers catch the light, blues, greens, golds, fanning out in unison like waves of living color. These are peacocks, birds long worshipped as symbols of beauty, royalty, and divinity. But behind their dazzling display lies an industry few have ever seen, one that quietly harvests millions of feathers every year for fashion, art, and culture around the world. Today, we're going deep inside the peacock feather industry to uncover how these majestic birds are farmed, how their feathers are collected, and what it means for the people and the peacocks who make it possible. Because while most of us only see the glamour, the feather fans, the royal costumes, the luxury home decor, few stop to ask, where do these feathers actually come from? And even fewer know that in some parts of the world, peacock farming has become a multi-million-dollar trade built on beauty, patience, and sometimes controversy. From ancient temples to modern farms, from ethical collection to black market trafficking, this is the untold story of the bird that wears its pride on its tail. Let's begin where this all started, thousands of years ago, when the peacock wasn't a commodity, but a god. For centuries, the peacock has been more than just a bird. It's been a living symbol of power, spirituality, and eternal beauty. In ancient India, the peacock was believed to be the mount of Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and the guardian of rain. Its feathers decorated palaces, temples, and crowns. Kings wore them as symbols of divine right. And even today, in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the peacock represents immortality and compassion. But admiration wasn't limited to the East. When explorers and traders brought peacock feathers to Europe in the 17th century, they became symbols of exotic luxury, adorning fans, dresses, and even royal thrones. Victorian England turned the bird into an icon of elegance and vanity. By the 20th century, global demand had exploded. Feathers were used in stage costumes, fashion houses, and interior design, from Parisian theaters to New York ballrooms. And as demand grew, so did a new question. How could people collect these feathers without harming the bird? That question, simple but ethical, laid the foundation for modern peacock farming. Today, thousands of farms across India, China, and parts of Africa raise peacocks not for their meat or eggs, but for their feathers alone. Each feather can take nearly a year to regrow, and each bird, if cared for properly, can produce hundreds in its lifetime. It's a strange kind of farming, one that depends not on harvest or slaughter, but on patience and timing. On the outskirts of small Indian towns like Tamil Nadu's Namakkal or Rajasthan's Udaipur, vast enclosures shimmer under the sun. These are peacock farms, not the tourist kind, but agricultural operations built around beauty itself. Here, hundreds of peafowl, both males and females, roam large fenced pastures. The males, with their radiant tails, spend much of the year displaying their feathers, not for humans, but for mates. And that's the secret. The feathers we see in shops and markets are mostly naturally shed. Each year, after the breeding season, peacocks molt, dropping their long, iridescent tail feathers. Farmers and caretakers walk through the enclosures, collecting them by hand, one by one. It's a slow, delicate process, almost meditative. No plucking, no harm, just patient gathering. But not every farm plays by these rules. In some parts of the world, unregulated collectors resort to unethical methods, capturing wild peacocks or forcibly removing feathers before molting. That's why, in countries like India, peacocks are a protected species. Farmers must be licensed, and all feather exports are strictly monitored to ensure the birds remain unharmed. In modern, well-managed farms, peacocks live in open-air enclosures, fed a balanced diet of grains, fruits, and protein. Each male can produce between 150 to 200 tail feathers every year, depending on age and health. Once collected, the feathers are cleaned, sorted, and graded by size, color vibrancy, and pattern. Some will end up in fashion houses, others in ceremonial costumes, and many more as decorative art sold across the globe. From a single farm, thousands of feathers can be harvested annually, a shimmering crop unlike any other in agriculture. And while the farming seems peaceful on the surface, maintaining these birds takes deep knowledge of biology, breeding cycles, and environmental care. Because a peacock isn't like poultry, it's a creature of pride, ritual, and rhythm. And those who raise them must learn to move at nature's pace. Peacock farming may seem ancient, a quiet art of waiting for feathers to fall, but modern technology has quietly transformed it. Today's large-scale farms use automated monitoring systems to track bird health and molting cycles. Motion sensors and cameras detect when feathers drop, alerting caretakers to collect them before they're damaged. Even humidity and temperature controls are fine-tuned to keep plumage in perfect condition, because a feather's value depends on its sheen, symmetry, and integrity. Meanwhile, breeders are using selective genetics to enhance feather density and color quality. Some farms experiment with crossbreeding Indian peafowl and African subspecies to create hybrids with more vivid hues or longer tail trains, prized by luxury feather suppliers. And it's not just the farming side that's innovating. The processing and preservation of feathers has evolved too. New eco-friendly cleaning methods use steam and organic solvents instead of harsh chemicals. UV sterilization ensures feathers are hygienic and ready for international export. In China, a few tech-driven farms even use AI-based data systems to predict molting seasons by analyzing feeding patterns and climate trends. What was once considered a slow, seasonal trade is now becoming a data-informed micro-industry, blending tradition with technology. But while innovation improves efficiency and profit, it also raises a deeper question. Can beauty be farmed without compromising the wild soul of the bird it comes from? At first glance, peacock farming might seem harmless. After all, the feathers are collected after they're naturally shed. But the story isn't that simple. In many regions, the line between farming and wild capture can blur. Unregulated collectors sometimes raid forest edges, picking up molted feathers from wild peacocks, or worse, harming the birds for faster profit. That's why, in India and several other nations, the trade in peacock feathers is tightly monitored under wildlife protection laws. Licensed farms must prove that their feathers come from domesticated, ethically kept birds. Yet, despite strict regulation, black markets still exist, where illegally sourced feathers are mixed with farmed ones and sold across borders. This shadow trade poses a real threat to wild populations, especially in areas where habitat loss already pressures native peafowl. On the other hand, ethical farming can actually support conservation. By breeding peafowl in captivity, farmers help reduce hunting pressure in the wild. Many farms plant native vegetation, creating microhabitats that attract insects and promote biodiversity. Some even partner with conservation groups, turning their operations into both economic and ecological sanctuaries. It's a fragile balance: beauty and business, nature and need. The challenge lies not in farming itself, but in how it's done. If done responsibly, peacock farming could serve as a model for sustainable trade, one that values both the art of feathers and the life that grows them. Beyond its beauty, the peacock feather is a quiet economic lifeline for thousands of families. In rural India, Bangladesh, and parts of China, feather collection and trade provide seasonal income where few other opportunities exist. For small farmers, each plume can mean food on the table. A high-quality tail feather, shimmering blue and green with the famous eye pattern, can sell for up to a few dollars a piece on the export market. Multiply that by thousands, and a single farm's yield becomes a valuable cash crop. The feathers travel a long journey, from local collectors to cleaning centers, then to wholesalers and exporters. From there, they find their way into fashion runways, cultural festivals, temple decorations, and even fly fishing gear. In countries like the US, France, and Japan, luxury designers often pay premium prices for ethically sourced feathers with certification. But the trade isn't purely commercial, it's deeply cultural. In India, peacock feathers still decorate the crowns of deities, the masks of dancers, and the ceilings of old temples. In Sri Lanka, they're believed to ward off evil spirits. In Africa, some tribes use them in spiritual healing rituals. It's a rare case where economy and tradition coexist, where an ancient symbol still sustains modern lives. But as global tastes evolve, and as animal ethics become central to fashion and art, this centuries-old trade now faces a critical question. Can it adapt and survive in the modern world? The future of the peacock feather industry stands at a crossroads between art and ethics, between heritage and innovation. As fashion houses and global brands face increasing pressure to ensure sustainable sourcing, many are turning to certified farms and traceable supply chains. Digital tagging systems now allow a single feather to be tracked back to its origin, a quiet revolution in transparency that may decide the industry's survival. At the same time, synthetic alternatives, feathers made from silk, recycled materials, or biofabrication are emerging. They mimic the shimmer, but not the soul. For artisans and worshippers, there's still no substitute for the real thing, for the way light dances on a natural plume, or the cultural weight carried by something truly born from nature. And perhaps that's what makes this bird so timeless. It reminds us that beauty doesn't always come from invention. Sometimes, it comes from patience, from watching nature do what it's done for millennia and learning to live in harmony with it. In many ways, peacock farming isn't about production, it's about respect. Respect for the cycle of life, for the creature that gives without being harmed, and for the humans who've built livelihoods around care, not cruelty. As the global conversation about sustainability grows louder, this delicate balance between economy, ethics, and elegance will define the industry's next chapter. And maybe, if we get it right, the peacock will continue to strut proudly across both our farms and our imaginations, not as a symbol of vanity, but of coexistence. So, what do you think? Can beauty be truly sustainable when it comes from nature itself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look inside the world of peacock farming, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories that reveal the hidden industries behind our world's most fascinating creatures.